Welcome to Building Bridges. Conversations on social development, where we explore the power of connection, collaboration, and community in shaping a more inclusive and prosperous world. Join us as we delve into the key issues, innovative solutions, and inspiring stories that drive positive change and empower individuals and communities to thrive. Let's embark on this transformative journey together, uniting hearts and minds for a brighter future for all. Let's get to work with Garfield Oliver of Caribbean American News Media.
Welcome to the Caribbean American News Media Show, your premier destination for in-depth coverage, engaging discussions, and entertaining segments showcasing the rich tapestry of Caribbean American culture. Join us as we explore a wide range of topics, from current events and community spotlights to arts, music, cuisine, and more. Our show features exclusive interviews with influencers, artists, community leaders, and everyday heroes who are making a difference in the Caribbean American community. Stay informed and inspired with our thought-provoking segments that highlight the diversity, resilience, and creativity within our community. Tune into the Caribbean American News Media Show for a captivating blend of news, entertainment, and storytelling that celebrates the Caribbean American experience. Get ready to discover new perspectives, celebrate successes, and connect with the heartbeat of the Caribbean American community. Don't miss a moment of the action. Stay tuned to Caribbean American News Media Show for an immersive viewing experience like no other. Hashtag Caribbean American News, hashtag show, hashtag cultural celebration. Welcome.
Well, a special good night to all our viewers on Caribbean American News Media platform. Please share the live as you join us here on set. A pleasant good night to all our viewers on the platform. We are broadcasting live on GBD TV, I believe channel 115, our YouTube channel and Facebook channel. A special good night to all our viewers here on the platform. Here's wishing you a beautiful evening. How was your day, folks? Greetings. Please share the live, tag a friend, let folks know that we're on. With me tonight would be the opposition leader and political leader of the United Workers' Party, that is the Honorable Allen Chastanet. He will be with us momentarily. Until then, we invite you to share the live as we get into the business of the people. And tonight, don't forget, we have an exclusive interview with the opposition leader, political leader of the United Workers' Party, the Honorable Allen Chastanet, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Tonight we will discuss and we will go over the minister's statement, Minister of CIP, that we're talking about Dr. Hilaire, who tabled the report, report that, overdue, 2022 to 2023, and it was a statement that he delivered earlier today in the House there in Castries, St. Lucia. Tonight we will discuss, we will go into the statement by the minister responsible for CIP, Mr. Hilaire, and the opposition leader would be sharing some light on some of the developments that came out of that report, and there are many other things, folks, that came out by Richard Frederick and also other ministers of government that we believe should get a response. The people of St. Lucia must get clarity from our ministers and from our government. And so tonight we will go into those discussions with the Honorable Allen Chastanet. But what I can tell you, folks, is that Mr. Chastanet, I'm sure he's overworked today, and he's going to join us still. We appreciate that. We want to thank him very much for accepting the invite to be here with us on this platform, Caribbean American News Media. Again, I just want to greet everyone, Sylvia over there on our YouTube channel, and also we have my friend Raymond out of Grenada, who's always locked in. We have Gloriana and many others who are just coming into that platform over on our Facebook channel. I want to say a special good night to Julia Yard and Rosemary, Sherry, and we have my friend Lawrence, Nestor, Samuel, Kurt, May, Barbara, Stanislas, my friend over there in Soufriere, and my honorable friend Jimmy Haynes. I'm getting to love Jimmy even more and more as I get to know him. Yes, I can't sing the song I keep falling in love with him over and over again, but you know, he is a St. Lucian. He loves his country, and I'm happy to be collaborating with him. Barbara Mathrick, greetings to you. Alexander, Joy, greetings. Jackie Georges, Tiny, greetings. Eva Blake, how are you, my friend? Greetings to you. James, welcome to the platform. Bibiana and Frank, greetings to you. Miku North is in the house. James is all the way from Miku North. I want to ask Miku North why they were not in View Fort when their names were called by the SLP. You know, they should have showed up, but it's a little embarrassing, folks. But greetings all. Yes, my friends. Arnold. Yes, Hillary, my friend. Greetings to you. Faith, good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good evening. All right, Charles, greetings, greetings. Veronica, and all our viewers. I can't call all your name. My friend Teresa, greetings to you, Charles. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Beautiful day, beautiful night to all. We also have, Miku South, Joy. Miku South, greetings to you. Greetings. All right. So, my friend Jean France is just coming on. Martin, greetings to you if you are on. Sealy, long time I have not seen a lot of my people, but greetings, folks. Mervyn, greetings, 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 greetings. And to our GVD viewers, those of you who are viewing via channel 115 Flow, that's GVD TV, we want to extend our deepest condolences to the management of GVD TV, the entire family, on the loss of their family, Mr. Edme Celestin from Dennery. Our heart goes out with you. Mr. Celestin was a personal friend of mine, the family. I know Paul Celestin and all the others there. And my friend over in Dennery North, just condolences to the entire GVD family and the loss of their loved ones. To those of you who are viewing from Dennery, greetings to you. Dennery South, Dennery North, those of you from View Fort, Choiseul, View Fort, Soufriere, Anse-Lorraine, Canaries. We also have Bouton, and there is Balata, Babonneau, you have Bellevue, you have Belmont, you have Dennery-Riviere, you have Olio, Grand-Riviere, Dennery, Grand-Riviere, Gros-Îlet, Cap Estate, wherever you're watching us from, Raidry, I'm trying to call all the names, friends, Shock, yes, Shock, Castries, North and South, East and West, wherever you are viewing us from, greetings to you. Moshi, yes, Moshi, I've been to Moshi a few times. It is Bouton, not folks, listen to me. Don't correct my pronunciation, you know. Zosa Sadadi, all right? So if you're from anywhere close that I just mentioned, folks, greetings. And to our audience in the United States, Canada, England, Martinique, Europe, France, wherever it is you're coming in from, we want to welcome you to the to our platform here at Caribbean American News Media, all right? So, folks, today we had... And let me just say something, first of all, to my friend Ralph Gonsalves, my Prime Minister there over in St. Vincent. And I believe that you have contributed to your country. A lot of you listen to Vincentians and they would say to you that, you know, you come across sometimes as one who don't care. But I know you have some sensitivity in you. You have some empathy in you for your people, but there's a lot that is lacking in that country still. Some people are really feeling the pinch in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They're a whole group that don't appreciate some of the things that you do, such as the women. We have our teachers who were fired and abused and arrested, and the vendors, and a lot of stuff there that people are not too proud of. And I think what you should have also said to the SLP is that your margin is not too nice. Your winning margin, just buy a seat, So if I were you, I would focus on, trying to move on, allowing the next generation to take over. But I know Dr. Friday is right on your track, sir, and he's coming to get you, so you better watch your back. Don't worry about St. Lucia and Mr. Chastanet, and whether you call him Trump or not, listen to me. He is the opposition leader of the country and will do what he has to do in order to ensure that his country is developed, that there are policies in place so that people can, experience tranquility in their country, security, health, and all the other things. So, Dr. Ralph, you give a lot of preaching, but I think you should ask, your comrades to... all of you, just practice what you preach, and we'll have a beautiful world if that happened. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, so Ralph, time for you to retire, time for you to go and enjoy your retirement. You're not living in a dictatorship country. Give up, go home. You have done what you had to do, and I praise you for the brand new airport. I praise you for a lot of development, the wharf in Kingstown, and other stuff. You have done a lot of good too, but you have done also a lot of bad that Vincentians are not pleased with. So when you come in to tell St. Lucians vote for Labour, you don't know what the St. Lucians are going through in St. Lucia. No, you don't. You don't know the injustice. You don't know the abuse from government. You don't know the healthcare system in the country. You don't know people who have buried their loved ones as a result of careless governments. And so you can't come and tell them who to vote for and that Labour is better for them. You don't know that. It's better for you. But it's not better for a whole lot of people. If you ask them, you go on the ground, Ralph, you in St. Lucia, you should have taken the time to walk around the area, going to Viewfort. Walk around Viewfort. Get out of your vehicle, walk around Viewfort. Go to the hospitals and ask the people what is going on there. Go into Soufrière, Dennery, and you ask them, Mr. Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Gonsalves, I've known you all my life. As a matter of fact, I had the privilege of having cocktail with you on a small island called Long Island. You're a nice man when you're nice when you go out socializing. I had fun with you on that island. So I'm saying just leave St. Lucians. You can come and visit and talk. And, John Compton, you said I'd ban you once. Well, he's no longer there. Nobody's going to ban you, of course. But what I'm saying is that, just relax. When you go on a foreign soil, you give your little jabs and stuff, but respect the people in their land when you get there. Yes, of course, you can say something to make your sister party look good. But at least you got to have some restraint. You got to be careful how you address the citizens of the country. You just got to, I'm saying, sir. But St. Lucia, you're welcome. St. Lucia is always open. They're open to welcome you into the country. But, you stick with Labour Party business and don't tell all St. Lucians to abandon Mr. Chastanet and vote for the SLP. No, that's not right. But anyway, that's just my little saying, and I will just leave that right there. So Ralph, if you could have understand Creole, what the guy do face off all, but you are, who say neighbor, and I was born right there in St. Vincent, So basically, you're my prime minister too. Me, Marvelo Fese Bagaisa. Exercise restraint, Uchekli, because see Johnson come to I did for too long time, just black na by sir. So don't take it seriously, Papa. Don't take it, Papa. Don't take it seriously, all right? Okay. But anyway, Mr. Shasta is going to join us in a few. Just bear with us. He had a very busy day in the House, also in preparation for the debate. Today, what we saw in Castries was the United Workers' Party supporters going out to support their political leader. Here, let's have a listen.
Answer! We want answers! 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 We want answers!
Now, what I saw was, I was not too happy about what I saw in the House. What I saw was one of the ministers keeping a whole little noise, and it looked like he was running out of breath. He was just aggressive and loud, and comes across sometimes as angry, lack of self-control. And then you hear him saying, well, 17 people outside and blah, blah, blah. What it is about 17 people or 2 people or 10 people or 100 people, that's petty compared to the issues that are affecting the country. I mean, sometimes I believe our governments are distracted by a whole lot of petty stuff. Things that are not even making sense. If the United Workers' Party supporters decide to show up and to support their leader or to have a short protest outside, what is that to you that you have to be trying to count numbers to say, oh, yeah, it's only 17. Whether it's 1 or 2, that's their democratic right and privilege to be there. So sometimes I feel, there's an old saying in the Bible. When I was a child, I act like a child. When I'm a man, and I put away childish things, and I move like a man. I flex like a man, And so sometimes I find our politicians are very petty. You can have light moments, but come on. And I was scared, honestly, for the gentleman. I thought he was running out of breath or something was happening to him, and he was like, and I'm like, wow, come on, just take it easy. The world is not ending. Huh? You will still get your salary. Well, what can I say, friends? To each its own, and I can only admonish or guide the Minister of Government to take it easy. Take it easy. I know you are hurt by what the organization did in the disciplinary actions, and so a lot of people can't get over these things, and they hold it for a very long time, and they become so bitter to the point where they get arrogant, and they become so pompous and lacking self-control that they don't even realize how they look in public when they're speaking. And I'm not even sure if they go back and look at themselves to realize how juvenile it appears, it looks, But anyway, to each his own, as I said, if that's the road that you want to go, if that's where you're comfortable, that's the level or the altitude that you are comfortable in flying, then fly. The longest rope has an end, and what goes up comes down. So whatever altitude you go to, just know that one day you will be settled. You will come down, just like this brother Zacchaeus who went up in the tree. He had to come back down. He had to come back down, all right? In other words, he had to come down to be sanctified. He had to come down to make right and make whole. We must come down, folks. All of us must come down, all right? So what we saw today, folks, it is the report from the Minister of CIP, and later on, after we would have cleared our table here to accommodate the Honorable Allen Chastanet, we will get down into the bunyo of this whole CIP. I know many of you want to know, what is going on, why all this stuff, and some of you still have questions. It was meant to bring clarity, but instead, some of you look like you're more confused than anything else. Yeah? So what we will do at this point, folks, we are going to take a short break, and we are going to be right back after these messages.
At Palette Pleasure, located Ogier Vieux Fort, we take pride in our ability to cater to a wide range of events and occasions, whether it's a joyous celebration like a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or graduation, or a more somber gathering such as a funeral or first communion. We are dedicated to providing exquisite culinary offerings to suit each unique event. Our diverse menu includes offerings such as funeral treat boxes and treat boxes for all other occasions, ensuring that we can provide comfort and support during difficult times, as well as enhance the festivities during happier moments. In addition, we offer prepackaged meals designed for all occasions, ensuring that the food at your event is not only delicious but also convenient. Call us today at 75873333365 for your finger-licking and palatable foods.
All right, and we are right back. Yes, my friend, that was in, I believe, a New York minute. We are back, folks. Welcome to the platform again. We are awaiting our guest who will be with us shortly, and that is the Honorable Allen Chastanet, leader of the opposition and political leader of the United Workers' Party. I just read a comment on our feed, and somebody saying that the brother was a little concerned because he saw Rush outside the parliament. But hey, there's certain things that you would not be able to stop, and sometimes you get, run over by it. Yeah. All righty. So let's talk about the medical situation in the country. Let's talk about the medical. I heard Mr. I call him Buddy, but I heard Buddy confirming today in the House that when we got outraged about the letter that was written by Mo Clark, the head of the Medical and Dental Association, we went at Buddy and we said, look, man, what are you doing? You calling the woman a Zelev, and you all this stuff that you're doing, trying to insult the woman and belittle her because she's writing about the condition at our hospital. Well, Buddy said, well, I didn't call anybody name. Zelev of the flop, of course. But guess what? Today in the House, Buddy confirmed who he was speaking about. The Prime Minister said he didn't ever call anybody name. The guy didn't call anybody name. If my minister said anything like that, he got to apologize. And it was brushed off by Prime Minister and also Buddy. Today, Buddy doubled down in the House, and he said that basically the woman is a professional political hack, basically. And it sounds like everything is okay at the hospital. And it is just this professional political hack, Mo Clark. She's just keeping the noise, and just a few hacks who don't like the Labour Party and want the Labour Party to fail, they're the only ones who are keeping all the noise. Huh? Did you hear that? And he doubled down on this professional woman and did not acknowledge, by the way, that there was a medical disaster at our hospitals. If any government minister, now I heard the man said that he did a check, some investigations, and the Philip J. Perry administration is the only government in the history of St. Lucia that have given so much to our hospitals. If you're counting the wasted money at St. Jude's, then we can almost agree with you. Yes, if you're speaking about the wastage of at St. Jude's, and he also spoke of the old buildings and the new buildings at St. Jude's. So what we heard today from our politicians is that those of you who are complaining about the medical condition and the nurses and doctors who are leaving and who are complaining, all of them, they're a bunch of UWP hacks. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with our health care. Now, let me ask you a question while we wait for the Honorable Allen Chastanet. Let me ask you a question, seeing that we're talking about health care. And I suspect this is one of the problems that Mr. Allen Chastanet and the United Workers' Party wanted to avoid, the mold issues at our buildings. Yeah? So, lately we have been hearing about a lot of mold issues at our medical and governmental institutions. Well, it have been hitting our medical buildings a lot. And as a result of these mold, we are hearing that nurses and the workers are getting sick. They're having sore throats. They're feeling sick, drowsy, and all sorts of stuff are happening to them as a result, I am sure, of the mold in these buildings. Now, you would think that we would just not scrape the walls and wipe them and paint them over, but we'll try to find out why are our buildings having these mold problems to the point where they are shutting those facilities down. And they're shutting them down very often in the country. I think that I would have commissioned a study, get the experts to figure out why is this happening. Is it that, we're not building properly, or the air conditioning system, there's no proper vent, or something is going on? Or the air conditions, they're dropping water between the bricks or between the walls. Something is going on with the AC unit in these buildings, if there are AC. And if there are no AC, could it be that there is a leak in the roof? Or there's a busted pipe somewhere in the walls? So what I heard the Minister of Health say, well, we're going to scrape the walls and we're going to repaint it. Is scraping the wall and repainting it the solution to mold issues? I want to find out why we're having the mold problem. So the new hospital at St. Jude's, the intention was that you would not have that type of issue with air circulation, mold, and all those stuff that we have been fighting like a plague in our nation. But our ministers say to us, the building is a box, and we will, and I guarantee you, St. Lucians, I guarantee you that you're going to have the same ventilation problem and mold problem at St. Jude Hospital. I can almost guarantee it, because most of the buildings are built just like all the other buildings in the island. And the worst thing to do is to just put air condition. Before you know it, friends, we have a bold issue. Huh? So I'm just submitting to you that you got to be careful when you hear your government ministers say things to you. Take it with a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. Nothing is going on at the hospital. Nothing is going on with CIP. Nothing with our roads. A matter of fact, any problem we have in St. Lucia, it is the UWP, not us. Now, something surprising, they go back to View Fort. I'm just ranting until our leader comes. Something surprising I heard Mr. Gonsalves said, Ralph, in View Fort. He mentioned Stevenson's name. And in all great prime ministers that he mentioned, what he said about Stevenson King, I documented it. He said something to the effect that, yes, Stevenson King was given the leadership by John Compton, but there was there are a lot of people tugging at him, he couldn't go nowhere. In other words, what Ralph is saying to St. Lucians is that Stevenson King was a failed prime minister. You listen to him? I don't just listen to noise, you know. I listen deep. Mention how great Kenny Anthony is, and the people put him out. The people also put out Mr. Chastanet, another great leader. So are you saying that St. Lucians like to put out great leaders? They cannot recognize good leaders when they see them. Only Ralph Gonsalves knows good leaders. And only good leaders are only born in the SLP. Or in his party in St. Vincent, the United Labour Party, Unity Labour Party. And not the NDP, New Democratic Party. So good leaders are only SLP. So in the region, we must ensure, that's what he's saying, that we keep Labour in government. Because Labour is always good for the people. But the people normally put out the good leaders. They normally remove the good leaders. So if what you're saying, Ralph, is true, it means that they're about to put out another good leader. I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm just listening to Mr. Ralph Gonsalves and his infinite wisdom. Huh? In his infinite wisdom, friends, he said Stevenson King was appointed as a leader. But there were a whole lot of people and stuff pulling him back, so he went nowhere. But then went on to praise the best leaders. The best leaders that he considers to be in the St. Lucia Labour Party. But like I said, you know, Ralph needs to mind his business because Mr. Friday is on his tail. Just behind him. He can smell or feel Mr. Friday breathing down his neck. That's how close the elections are in the country. You win by 1 seat or by 2. Yeah? And that's not a lot to boast about. But don't come and tell us, insult our beautiful Stevenson King. Huh? Don't come and insult our beautiful Stephenson King, who now is the best thing after sliced bread for the St. Lucia Labour Party. Yeah? Folks, we're going to take a break right now, and we will be right back. By then, the Honorable Allen Chastanet would be on set. Thank you so much.
At Great Vision Designs, we value our customers and provide cutting-edge customer service. Great Vision Designs specializes in television broadcasting and live streaming of funerals, sports events, weddings, meetings, shows, and more. Call us today at 722-6542 or 726-9914, or follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Great Vision Designs, coverage you can count on.
Yes, my friends, coverage you can count on, and that is GVD TV. That is, I believe, channel 115 there in St. Lucia, folks. At this time, our guest is here with us. That is the Honorable Allen Chastanet, the political leader of the United Workers' Party, opposition leader in the government system of St. Lucia. To those of you who are viewing from Grenada and the other countries, I want to introduce to you our political leader. That is the Honorable Allen Chastanet, and also opposition leader to St. Lucia. He is the former Prime Minister of St. Lucia. He's the Prime Minister that took St. Lucia through the great COVID-19 crisis. He's here with us, and it is my privilege, friends, to welcome the Honorable Allen Chastanet to the platform. Welcome, sir. All right, so let's just ensure that we can hear clearly. Can you hear me, sir? All right, just bear with us as we make connections. Honorable Chastanet, can you hear me? Okay. So just bear with us, folks. Let me ensure that we get in through with him. Can you hear me, Mr. Chastanet?
Are you cool enough in here?
You can put the air conditioner on.
Okay, just bear with us. Let's just get our setting clear, and we will be right back. We're going to take a break, and we will reconnect with our system on the platform. Okay, folks? So just bear with us, and we're going to get Mr. Chastanet up on the platform. Just bear with us. We will take a break.
I can't hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. We will take a commercial break, and we will be right back. All right.
At Palette Pleasure, located Ogier Vieux 4, we take pride in our ability to cater to a wide range of events and occasions, whether it's a joyous celebration like a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or graduation, or a more somber gathering such as a funeral or First Communion. We are dedicated to providing exquisite culinary offerings to suit each unique event. Our diverse menu includes offerings such as funeral treat boxes and treat boxes for all other occasions, ensuring that we can provide comfort and support during difficult times, as well as enhance the festivities during happier moments. In addition, we offer prepackaged meals designed for all occasions, ensuring that the food at your event is not only delicious but also convenient. Call us today at 758733335 for your finger-licking and palatable foods. At Palette Pleasure, located Ogier Vieux 4, we take pride in our ability to cater to a wide range of events and occasions, whether it's a joyous celebration like a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or graduation, or a more somber gathering such as a funeral or First Communion. We are dedicated to providing exquisite culinary offerings to suit each unique event. Our diverse menu includes offerings such as funeral treat boxes and treat boxes for all other occasions, ensuring that we can provide comfort and support during difficult times, as well as enhance the festivities during happier moments. In addition, we offer prepackaged meals designed for all occasions, ensuring that the food at your event is not only delicious but also convenient. Call us today at 758-733-3365 for your finger-licking and palatable foods.
All right, thank you so much, and we're right back. Dr. Honorable Chastanet, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, sir.
Okay, thank God it works. Thank you so much for being here with us. I know you had a very long day, and I want to thank you for accepting our invite. I know you should be resting, but you're a very hard worker, and we are happy again to have you folks. This is the Honorable Allen Chastanet, political leader in the United Workers' Party and opposition leader of St. Lucia, former prime minister to the country. Amen. And so, Mr. Chastanet, can you turn the device on the side so that we can get a good, yes. So we just need to position it now. We will fix it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me just make some adjustments from my end so that we can get you situated. That's right. Okay, much better. Much better, sir. Thank you so much. All right, so what we saw today, Mr. Chastanet, and I'm happy you're here so that you can share some light. You can give us more clarity on the Mr. Hilaire's minister's statement on CIP. Now, a lot of individuals I saw under the government information service, they're like, why Mr. Chastanet is not responding to the minister's statement. Could you help us out there? Is it a policy or the standing orders?
Yeah, so the minister spoke at the beginning of the agenda under an item that's called minister's statements. So when a minister is giving a statement, he is to be heard in silence. There's no opportunity for any interference by any member of the House. And there's no rebuttal. So it was a very, very safe space for him to provide this report. And to make it even more egregious, in this particular instance, is that you're not even allowed to bring up the information that he reveals in his statement in the debates that are going to be taking place later during the day.
So there's nothing you could have said, you could not have questioned or respond to him?
Not only a question, even when he was saying things that were definitely misleading, when he was making clear erroneous statements, I was not allowed, and I'm not allowed to stand on a point of order during his session and object in any way. We're just to sit there in silence and listen to the minister's statement.
Right. So we would consider that to be, as you said, a safe space where, it would be a good thing for me if I'm the minister responsible and there is all these questions and accusations of corruption. I would try to avoid press conferences, and the House would be the best shelter for me. And I see that is exactly what Mr. Hilaire, but he promised the St. Lucian people that they would have received all the answers to their questions concerning the CIP program. And it seems to me today, Mr. Chastanet, that the people were left more confused than, when they started.
Yeah, look, the report was vacuous. It had nothing in it. He simply gave numbers of past events. And remember, it's two reports. It's a report of the CIP unit for the period April of 2022 until March of 2023. So there is a report by the CIP unit as what took place in that particular year. And there's also an audited report that goes with it to audit the documents. Now, remember, the audit that we saw was simply an audit on the operations of the CIP unit, and does not include, as an example, an audit of the escrow account. And obviously, the infrastructure program started in the late 2024, which this report that doesn't cover that period. And that's why, again, even from the onset, when you listen to the minister's announcement before going into the House, said, oh, you can't believe that the opposition is complaining when he's responding to our requirement for there to be a report. What the opposition has requested is an independent report of the escrow account. So how much money has gone into the escrow account, and how much money has been drawn down on the escrow account, and how much money has been spent so far on the hotel, as well as a legal opinion as to whether the infrastructure program, as it is currently constructed, whether it's actually legal. Because in this particular instance, Pastor Garfield, in the infrastructure program, the money is collected by Bmax and collected by Galaxy. So we have no idea what is happening to the monies that they're collecting.
And that money is placed in the escrow account that is in China?
No. The only money that's put into the escrow account is the monies that are collected for the hotel project. And again, we're left very, very confused. So the report that we did see showed that in the last quarter, so from January 2023 until March of 2023, the unit received over 700 applications from Galaxy under the hotel project. Now, why is that relevant? It's because the price was changed from $300,000 to $200,000 in December of 2022. So was it that Galaxy was holding back on all these applications because there was a clear understanding that the government was going to change the rate? And then we saw a huge number of applications in. You remember a couple of months back, the minister revealed that there were about 1,347 shares. We don't know passports. He's never made the clarification that were already approved. That was up until April of 2024.
Yeah.
Between April and August, he's saying it's now gone to 1,900. So an additional 600 units or shares have been sold. Now, I want your audience to really appreciate that while we were in government for the 5 years, we only issued 853 passports.
Passports, not files.
Correct. 853. We only approved, only allocated, no public secret, no state secret. We allocated 700 files for Galaxy to be able to sell. And in those days, it was at 300,000. So there we said that we would let them use $210 million from our Citizenship by Investment program and apply those funds to the hotel. And again, this is another misconception that the minister continued to perpetuate today when he said that the monies that go into the escrow account are in trust and belong to Galaxy. They are belong to Galaxy. No, they belong to the hotel that Galaxy is building. And there's still an obligation based on the contract for the government to make sure that the monies are put into the escrow account, which the minister said that he can absolutely confer the money was put into the escrow account, and that money is now being used only for the development of the hotel. That's the question we're asking. That was one of the critical questions that he was supposed to answer today. He did not tell us how much money has been drawn down from the escrow account. He didn't tell us how much money was remaining in the escrow account. He gave us no information on the infrastructure program. Sorry, I apologize.
No, that's okay. And that's what I was going to ask you. We got nothing, no figures concerning the escrow accounts today, did we?
We got a bunch of false allegations.
Yeah.
Where they tried to say, well, it was under my administration that Galaxy came in. Well, we all know that.
Yep.
There was no secret of that. And that Galaxy had begun construction of the hotel. By the time that we left or demitted office in July, Galaxy had received approvals for 38 files. 38. And remember, they were allocated 700. So clearly, some of the information that we were able to put together today, based on what the minister said, is that for sure, the government has increased the allocation of files to Galaxy. He gave us a long story about how they increased in the cost and they expanded the size of the project, etc. But he never told us what the new cost of the hotel was going to be.
Right.
He never told us how many files and how much money were they going to allow Galaxy to collect from the CIP program. And nor has he told us, because remember, he has said time and time again that the real estate program is sold out. So what does that mean? So how many applications above and beyond what's been approved does Galaxy have?
That is not clear up to this point.
Correct. And I want to say, Pastor Garfield, persons don't need to be an expert on CIP. And that's why I think that we've tried to really keep it to some of the simpler questions. And when the government can't answer those simpler questions, it's very worrisome. The minister offered no excuse or excuse as to why is it that the audited documents were signed by the deputy chairman and not by the chairman. We still don't know who the chairman of the CIP board is. We still don't know why the CEO went to Washington, D.C. We've not heard from the CEO to explain what happened in Washington, D.C. Who did he meet? Why did he feel the need to go there? Who did he get permission from to go up to Washington, D.C.? We received a press statement from him on the CIP letterhead, indicating that he went up there to attend the CIP business. Right. Why did you bring your wife? Why didn't you bring a lawyer from CIP? I mean, you have Lauren Theophilus, who's a lawyer. You have a bunch of persons that you could have brought up there. You have a lawyer in the States that CIP unit is now paying for. Do you know how much money that lawyer is costing?
Well,
do any of us know?
We were told that Emmanuel was forced, he went there under pressure by, I believe, the United Workers' Party lawyer who reached out to him and forced him to go. Remember, Mr. Healy said that they were not aware that the gentleman had gone. I believe the Prime Minister said the same thing too. But then they came back and they said something different concerning that visit to Washington.
That makes sense to anyone? That you're going to believe that an opposition lawyer forced him to go?
Well, I would fire him if he was working for me. I'd fire him.
The fact is that the Prime Minister threw him under the bus because the Prime Minister said he's a big man. He can answer for himself. So I'm saying to you, these are critical questions. And remember, this is a CEO of the CIP unit, which are collecting hundreds of millions of dollars on behalf of the state. These are state funds. The passports belong to the citizens of St. Lucia. So how is it that we cannot get up till now a proper accounting? The minister and the prime minister did not seem to be embarrassed by the fact that this report is 18 months after the fact, twice the amount of time. So the act says you're supposed to present it within 90 days, 3 months, and there can be an extension for another 3 months if needs be. In this particular case, it's now twice as long as that. And here we are that the report that should have been presented from 2023 to 2024, that is from April of 2023 to March of 2024, is now itself 99 months overdue. And we still have no answers. And is that really an acceptable position to be in? And as I said to you, the minister made all kinds of excuses, brought up again DSH. Where does DSH come in any of this? DSH was not issued any passports. We never had an escrow account with DSH. They made reference to the framework agreement. In the framework agreement, it speaks to an escrow account. And I think that I provided you with a paragraph that came up, which basically says that notwithstanding the escrow account, it is subject to the application to the CIP unit, meaning that the government in principle agrees that you can have an escrow account, but it's subject to the approval of the CIP unit. The cabinet couldn't take that decision by itself. You had to go through the process and make the necessary applications. And at no point did DSH obtain approval from the CIP unit to open up an escrow account. At no point did DSH reach the point where they were processing and filing passports. At no point was DSH given permission to collect any monies on the sale of passports.
So the whole DSH and CIP, that's not a discussion, a matter of discussion as far as I'm concerned, because as you said, no authorization was given. There is no escrow account. What we know is that there is an escrow account in China with that is attached to the Galaxy projects.
And let's get something straight. When Galaxy was going to open up its operations in St. Lucia, they attempted to open up an escrow account here in St. Lucia as prescribed by the law. Mm-hmm. And they were not able to find any agents to do so. My government at the time confirmed that. And on the basis of that, came to Parliament and amended the act and allowed an escrow account to be overseas. But I want to say it doesn't really matter where the money is. It's what the contract is and the rules as to how those monies are to be used. The minister continuously wants to try to convince all of us that in the real estate program, that once the money goes into the escrow account, it no longer belongs to the state. I would say too that he and I disagree wholeheartedly on that point.
Why is that so? Because he said it today again, that the money does not belong to the people.
So if it belonged to Galaxy, why would we open up an escrow account? Why don't we just let Galaxy collect the money?
Yeah.
The reason why it goes into an escrow account is because it's in trust. It means that Galaxy doesn't have immediate access to it. Galaxy only has access to it once they can provide the bills and show that the money is going to be used for the hotel. So this is why we're saying, if you've confirmed, and that's what the minister confirmed today, that they can reconcile all the money that's coming in. So they're saying that there's no discounting that's taking place. All right? They're holding firm to that. So if that's the case, you've already sold 1,900. You've indicated that it's sold out. There's strong evidence to suggest that the number of 6,000 files is an accurate number. So the question is, if you increase the allocation from 700 files to 6,000 files, so you've gone from $210 million to $1.2 billion. So are we meant to believe that the cost of doing the project has gone from 300 million to almost $1 billion?
Well, because he said that there is an increase in the cost of the project. So what is that increase, like you asked earlier?
What's the number?
What's the numbers?
So if you're going to come and make a statement, and you've had all this time to put this statement together, how difficult is it to provide the public of St. Lucia, the shareholders, the real shareholders of the CIP program, the citizens of St. Lucia? Why is you don't feel an obligation to give them this information? Why the continual charade and wanting to deflect and put pressure on it? So I want to highlight something that happened this morning.
Mm-hmm.
He made reference to range. And he said that the money for range did not go into an escrow account as prescribed in the real estate program, correct?
Yes, that's what I heard, yeah.
And he said that the program was being done illegally.
Mm-hmm.
So the range deal was signed by the Labour Party in May of 2016. In fact, it was signed at the end of May of 2016, about 1 week before the elections on June 6th. Parliament had already been paroled. Who made that decision? Why was that decision made? Nobody knows.
And this was by the Kenny Anthony administration.
Correct. And negotiated by Ernest Hilaire, who was then, in those days, the chairman of CIP. Did you know that?
No. So he was the chairman of the CIP unit.
When he left the UK as the St. Lucia High Commission, he returned home and became the chairman of CIP. And he negotiated the range deal. And the range deal was signed 6 days or 7 days before the election.
Why was that?
And sorry?
Why was that?
That's a good question. And in that deal, they sold Black Bay, the lands at Black Bay, for $70,000 an acre, beachfront land. The initial amount that was sold was 150 acres.
So the Black Bay land, waterfront, prime property, was sold by the Kenny Anthony administration. And how much you said for?
$70,000 an acre. Now, I want to put that in perspective.
Talk to me.
In the DSH deal that we had, we were selling an acre of land for $60,000 an acre. And that as at Beau-Saint-Gilles.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the Minister Frederick complaining that was a giveaway. And he couldn't believe how egregious it was that we were selling that land for that price. Yeah. But his government now sold beachfront land, right, for almost the same price.
Well, I mean, look at the land there in Castries.
Yeah, the Bonanza land. So
Bonanza land, nothing new.
So now, in that deal also, Range was allowed to bring in up to 50% of the staff to run the hotel, not for the construction, to run the hotel from outside of St. Lucia. Do you want me to repeat that again?
No, because you should, because, I mean, these are the same accusations that are being hurled at you.
Okay. 50% of the staff were allowed to run the hotel from outside Solution. So the person who ran range was a guy called Mohammed. And I have to tell you, a very nice guy.
And where he's from?
He's Middle Eastern, but he is actually probably the only company that's actually built hotels. So the Regency in St. Kitts, the hotel in Dominica, and he's currently building a hotel in Grenada.
So he has a track record.
A track record of building them, and he and I have always, we have a very open and frank conversation. He's never been able to get them to operate properly, but he has built the hotels. Okay? So we met in Miami, and I said to him, because I was meeting him for the first time, I said, Mr. Mohammed, the fact that you would have signed this deal 1 week before the elections is very suspicious. And the fact is, if I wanted to, I could go to court and ask for this contract to be nullified on the basis that it wasn't a transparent act. Okay? So he said, look, Allen, I only have the best interests of St. Lucia at heart. I really just want to do this deal. I don't want to be getting involved in politics in St. Lucia. So I said, okay, let me go back home. I'll think about it and I'll come back to you, which I did. I said, okay, Mohammed, here's what we're going to do. You sell my donation program. You're familiar with the donation program?
Yes.
So
yes.
That's where the $100,000, or in those days, $200,000, was coming straight into the CIP unit. They collected the money and they deposited the money into their accounts. So it means we knew that we were collecting the money.
Right.
Okay? I said, you sell into the donation program. We'll keep track of all of the files that you send us. So we give you a credit for that money. So if you send 10 files in at 100,000, that's $1 million.
Right.
Okay? We will give you the credit for the $1 million. And here's what would happen. We would turn around now and lend you the money at 20 years for 2%. So instead of doing the real estate program where the money went into an escrow account and they got to use the money, right? And it went into the hotel, we did it a different way where we said, come into the donation program. We will now lend you the money. So it means that the government has a capital investment, equity stake, if you want to, because if they cannot pay the loan, the government would be able to now reclaim the hotel. Fair enough?
Right.
So we started that process, and in no time, he sold about $20 million worth of donations. So if you look at that 2017-18 graph, you'll see there was a huge increase in the number of donations. And what we saw, not only we were getting his files, but the activity that he was doing in the marketplace was generating other applications, which were not being credited to him. Fair enough?
Yep.
So the problem that we had is, you remember that the government in those days had established what's called an economic fund. But when we went there, we found out that there was no regulations to the economic fund. And it was my attorney general who said to me, PM, we can't transfer the money to the economic fund because the economic fund doesn't exist. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, there's no regulations. So we're going to have to go to Parliament and pass a special act of regulations for it. And when we started putting that act together, it was much more complicated than we thought it was going to be. And time was going by, and here it is that Mohammed had sold $20 million worth of citizenships already, and wanted to draw down on the money, and he wanted to put the loan agreement in place with Invest in Lucia.
Wow.
So I went to Mohammed. I said, Mohammed, I'm having a horrible time getting this done. He said, well, I'm frustrated. And I said, I don't want you to be frustrated. So here's what we'll do. Let's terminate the agreement. He said, that's fine. So we agreed that we would pay him back the money that he paid for the land.
Right.
Not 1 cent more. We agreed that we would give him a commission for the $20 million that he brought into our coffers. So we paid him 10%. So we paid him $2 million. That means that we have $18 million in the CIP unit account.
Right.
Fair enough?
Right.
And also he gave us the bills because he did all his plans, etc. And I think that came to $1.5 million. So in essence, we gave him back $3.5 million, which was $2 million for the commission, another $1.5 million for what he, and we had already collected $20 million. So that means that we were $16.5 million US wealthier than when we did this project, and we left his friends. Okay, so it was not being done under the real estate program. It was done in a very different way. And if I have a regret, is I did not stick to that plan, because I think that that's a much better way. I have to say to you, we'd even contemplated not having any agents sell our CIP program and allowing Invest St. Lucia to be the singular agent, and that they would have collected the money, and the money now would have been used to build hotels that would have been owned by the government of St. Lucia. And we would have leased those hotels out to the different brands. So whether it's Hyatt, whether it's Hilton, whether it's Marriott, because we don't really want to be involved in the operations.
And you believe that that would have been a better option right now than what we have?
Well, it is certainly better than the infrastructure program.
Yeah,
I have to tell you, Pastor Garfield, I'm at a loss to understand the logic behind the infrastructure program. Because here it is, we have the donation program for $100,000. And the money goes into the CIP unit and goes into the economic fund. And the new government, when they came in, changed it. They said, any project that is approved by cabinet, the economic fund can fund. So if they wanted to build the Rock Hall housing, they could have done that. If they wanted to do infrastructure, they can do that. There was no restrictions. So why on earth would you come in and give Galaxy 7,000 files at 100,000, 700 million US dollars in citizenship in order to spend $100 million? The question is, how many files were Bmax given? My understanding, it's well over 1,000.
So the Bmax transactions are not in this report.
No infrastructure programs are in this report, and
so,
only around 800 applications, it appeared, came in. So what the report showed is that the number of applicants, 70% of them came through the real estate program, and the remaining count came either through COVID-19 bond or through the economic fund. But close to 60% of the money that was earned by the CIP unit came from the economic fund. And you remember your good friend, Lennox Linton, describing what had taken place in Dominica. That when the Dominica government introduced its own version of the infrastructure program, the amount of money that was coming into the economic fund dwindled from 80% to almost 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
And so the country was much worse off with this, and that all the money that was being collected now was being collected outside of Dominica by a third party, which is exactly what we're seeing happening here.
Wow. So let me ask you, and just going back to Mrs. Chastanet, Bmax, what in the world is going on here with Bmax? We getting some dates. We were told that Bmax started transacting business in October of last year. Is that what we're hearing?
No, we were told that the contract with Bmax was signed in November of 2023. We saw that the company Bmax was registered in St. Lucia on December 23rd.
Yes.
A month later.
Yes, I saw that those documents.
And he said that Bmax started to do business and to sell files as of February of 2024. But nobody had ever heard of Bmax. So he's now saying a couple of things. He said the government realized that they made a mistake and they had not gazetted the company nor gazetted the product. program. Yes?
Yeah.
So they went and they gazetted it in September.
Right. That is
And-
September of
and-
this year.
Correct. And then
Yeah.
backdated it to January.
Yeah.
Now, he also said that no monies and no applications have been received under the infrastructure program.
He did. Yes.
So what was Bmax selling in February?
Question, you just hit me there for a 6.
So when they were selling it, what were they selling? And how much and how many were selling? See, it's not until the public knows how many files that were being allocated so we can calculate how much money is being given to Bmax. Yes?
So would that show
question
up,
then-
sorry. Yeah. So would that show up in the 2023-24 report?
No.
No.
Well, it would the 24 report
Or 24,
ended,
25.
It ended in March. So I mean very little because he's saying they only started to sell in February of 2024.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And again, let's understand, and this is why that we're asking for a special audit, because we knew that the audit that was being done is an audit of the CIP unit. What does that mean? The administrative fees that are coming in and the monies that they're collecting before they send it off to anywhere else, that's what's being audited. So how many staff do you have? What's your operating costs? What's your electricity costs? What's your expenses, etc. Right? But it does not audit the infrastructure program, nor it will be. And how is it going to audit something that it doesn't know about? Galaxy is being allowed to collect 100,000 by themselves. Now, they're being very clever, but we have to interpret it as an admission. When he says that we don't know what the price being sold out there is because that's a business transaction, that's a cop-out. That's a lie. Because the statute, what's the point of having a statute to say it's 100,000 if there's no way of you of confirming that it was $100,000?
Wow.
Now, let me ask you a question. Have you received any information or have you heard anywhere how much the Rock Hall housing project is going to cost?
No, matter of fact, I have been searching, I've been asking questions, and all we're hearing is that the project will happen with or without Bmax.
How many houses are we talking about?
We're not sure.
What's the size of the houses?
I hope it's not the Denry size.
How are we going to, who is going to decide who gets the house? Are people going to be turning around to buy the houses? Is the government going to be given the houses? Is it going to be a lottery? How are the houses going to be assigned?
So there's absolutely no figures for this project.
I'm asking the question like you. I mean, and is it unreasonable? Is it that we're an enemy of the state by asking those simple questions?
Well, it seems so because today all I've been hearing in the House that you and the United Workers' Party, you guys are the enemy of the state. You guys are wishing that the CIP program fail, that the United Workers' Party, you also, Mr. Chastanet, you are afraid of the success of the government in building homes for the citizens of the country.
So let's put this right. United Workers' Party will always support anything that can help progress solutions.
Thank you.
Anyway, so if they can build homes, they can build roads, we're all for it. But the role of the opposition ought to be, and the role of anybody else ought to be, to make sure that we're getting value for our dollar.
Yeah.
That's all. So how many roads? How much is it costing? Okay. How was the contractor selected? Now, I want to say to you, Pastor Garfield, that the idea of the infrastructure program has always existed. This is nothing new. And in our parlance here in St. Lucia, it's called a DFC, which stands for Design, Finance, Construct.
Okay, that is something like the Diamol agreement or the Halls of Justice.
It's like a bolt agreement. The Ministry of Infrastructure was done that way. The Rodney Bay Road, many roads in St. Lucia have been done that way. And let me just take a moment to explain how that works.
Yeah.
And hopefully through the explanation, your listeners would have a greater appreciation of how much information is missing. So let's take the Rodney Bay Road up here. When we approached Fresh Start to do that road, Fresh Start met with the Ministry of Infrastructure and went through a design period.
That was under Mr. Stevens and King.
Correct. Okay. The design of the roundabouts, the 4 lanes, the median in the middle, the pedestrian crossover. So Fresh Start would present a design. The Ministry of Infrastructure will come back and make its adjustments. So for instance, the original roundabout was in front of MJI. I don't know if you're familiar with MJI is. Right.
That is
next to Bay Gardens Hotel on the other side.
Okay, good.
I
got it. Yes.
And it was the Ministry of Infrastructure that said, no, they felt that the roundabout should be more next to La Tourette Road, which is where the aquatic center is. And the reason for putting the roundabout there is because that road was being redeveloped, which it was, and it would be the connector road up to Moshi, which would eventually connect to the north-south highway. That's how far-reaching the design was.
Wow.
So once they approved the design, then both the Ministry of Infrastructure and Fresh Start, whoever would apply to any other company as well, would agree on a price. Okay, and they're going back and forth and argue. This is how much it's going to cost. This is how much it's going to cost. Blah blah. And they agree on a price. Once they agree on the price, they then go now to the Ministry of Finance, present the contract to the Ministry of Finance. It's going to be $15 million. So the Ministry of Finance now agrees on what the terms of the repayment are going to be. Is there going to be a moratorium? What's the interest rate going to be? How long is the loan going to be for? And are the payments going to be made on a monthly basis, semi-annual basis, a quarterly basis? All those things are pre-agreed. Those term sheets then go to the Attorney General's office. And the Attorney General and Fresh Start's lawyers draft up the agreement. Okay? Once the agreement now is signed and the project is ready to proceed, the Ministry of Infrastructure gazettes it. And if you go there, you'll still see the 2 billboards that show who is doing the project, okay, who the contractor is, and which ministry is providing the supervision, which is the Ministry of Infrastructure. So when Fresh Start now starts the project, there are regular inspections, and they give them what's called certificates of completion, progress, for them to continue until the road is completed. At the completion of the road, the Ministry of Infrastructure gives them what's called a certificate of completion. So Fresh Start takes its certificate of completion and brings it over to the Ministry of Finance. On the basis of that, the Ministry of Finance starts paying them the money that they owe them based on the contract that they signed.
Okay, so that's just like getting a loan to build your house.
Exactly.
Solutions. So those of you who have gone to the bank to get loans, at every phase of the work, once it's complete, the bank pays out.
To the contractor.
To the contractor, not you.
Not to you.
That's right. That's right. Wow. But what was the problem?
So the only difference now between that and the infrastructure program, everything applies, except that when you go to get paid, instead of the money coming from the consolidated account where all the tax money is, the money is coming from CIP. So somebody would have to say, okay, if this project is going to cost $15 million and you can sell a passport for $100,000, how many passports are we going to allocate to you to make up the 15 million? Okay, and if you say, okay, well, there's some risk in here and some extra costs, so instead of letting you collect $15 million directly, we're going to let you collect $17 million. You follow me?
Yeah, got you.
But that's all agreed to. Now, let me ask you a question. We've heard of the Galaxy Infrastructure Program.
Yep.
Have you seen any contracts? Have you seen any gazetting of what roads are included or what infrastructure is included in that program?
Nope.
Okay. Have you seen any designs? Have you
Nope.
seen any notices go up or any commencement of anything that says funding by Galaxy Infrastructure Project Program?
So it's just lack of transparency in the whole process.
Correct. Which causes us to speculate. And that speculation, given the track record of this government and Ernest Hilaire in particular, causes us to be concerned. And that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, yeah. Because what I observe, this is me looking into the government and the way they function. I don't think these guys care about transparency. They just look at what happened. The reporters are asking questions on Galaxy and the CIP program. The minister is saying, the prime minister is saying, I'm not going to say anything. It's in court. Then he comes back and he says something stupid or something that makes absolutely no sense. Then Hilaire comes, well, I'm going to give you a report. Wait for it on Tuesday. Then everybody waits on Tuesday and walks away with nothing. Then Mr. Chastanet, I heard Mr. Hilaire in his minister's statement said that there was a from July, I think it's the 1st this year, that they stopped the infrastructure program?
They said they stopped the real estate program.
Real estate program.
So, which is a contradictory statement, and let me explain to you. He had already told us that the infrastructure program was sold out.
Yes.
Right? So it means that there was an allocation of 6,000 files given to Galaxy. They have applications in for the 6,000 files, and of those 6,000 files, they have already approved 1,900 as of August. So that means you have another 4,000 files that they already have that are being waited to be processed and approved. Now, in the midst of all that, the price was changed because we signed the MOA.
So,
and then the new prices started on July 1st. So the question that we were asking is that when the SI came out announcing the Galaxy Infrastructure Program and the Bmax Rock Hall project, it said that they were making it retroactive to January. So is it that what they're attempting to do is to make sure that all of the 6,000 files that Galaxy has and the 1,000+ files that Bmax have qualify under the old price and not the new price? And is it that what he's really saying is as of July 1st, we were not accepting any more applications because currently they're attempting to process the 6,000 files or the 4,000 remaining files for Galaxy under the real estate program. They're attempting to process 7,000 files under the infrastructure program and 1,000 plus files for Bmax. And they're trying to process all of those files under the old price. Now, again, this is where we believe they're being disingenuous to the agreement that they made. Grenada, as an example, and some of the other islands were very clear. Even if you had an application in, and if that application had not reached the point where you had paid money for the approval, then you would have to go back and start again under the new price.
Okay.
We have no idea what's taking place in St. Lucia.
So let me ask
none.
you, what is going to, how are we going to get clarity on this whole? Because as far as I'm concerned, we're not going to get it from the government, from this SLP government. It's quite clear that they're going to play this out. They're going to play this out. How are we as the citizens of this country supposed to get the information that we are requesting from our government?
So you have the case being brought against some of the people here in St. Lucia by MSR Media, the RICO case.
Yeah.
And if the RICO case were to proceed and they had to provide a proper defense for themselves, a lot of this information would come out in the court. It's my understanding that the government is attempting to get both Hilaire and also Claude Emmanuel off by claiming that they have immunity.
What type of immunity?
Government of St. Lucia and requesting whether the U.S. courts have the right to bring a minister or a government official to court. Yeah. Now, you would have thought if you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't use that.
No.
Okay? Because he made it very clear today, he doesn't understand why St. Lucia is in this case.
Oh,
and
you
they've
still
done
don't
nothing
understand.
wrong. Okay. So we are in the process. When I say we, myself as the leader of the opposition is in the process of filing what's called a judicial review from the local courts. They can't get immunity from that because it's a local claim. And one of the things that we're asking for is for an injunction that would prevent the minister from having to sign any more documents until the judicial review is completed.
Okay.
Right? Now, I know, and you know how this government thinks, that they're going to claim that the opposition is doing this to try to prevent the projects from proceeding. But I want to assure all solutions that that's not the case. What we're attempting to do is to make this government accountable. And months have gone by. Multiple of different people have asked similar questions, and none of us have been able to obtain any answer. And the question is, in a democracy, what obligation do they have? Now, you would have thought that civil society would be interested in what the truth was. We've not heard anybody from civil society ask the question, and particularly the Bar Association.
Yeah, they have been a little quiet on this.
Right. You'd have thought that civil servants would have recognized that they have an obligation to the people of St. Lucia, not to the politicians. So a person like the CEO of the CIP unit.
Yeah.
But I believe the CEO believes that he's working for the Prime Minister. He's not working for the people of St. Lucia.
Well, look, the government to me, I'll tell the truth, the government at this point looked to me like this type of gangster type government. Once they feel threatened by any questions from you, they're going to start muddying the water, like I saw they tried to do in the House today. And in fairness to you, I saw the speaker acting a little funny while you were trying to, make your point. He went a little funny there by telling you, no, I don't want you to go there. You know, this is where I want you to go.
So, as I said, we're going to file this case, Pastor Garfield, very soon. And that case would be claiming that the infrastructure program is unlawful and the government has no right to be selling it. And it would be for the government to provide the contracts to explain to the court how this is working.
And you're doing that,
And
sir,
then
as the opposition leader.
As leader of the opposition.
Can I ask you a question? And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Do you get financial support from the state when it comes to legal matters like these?
No.
Do you believe that there should be an adjustment in our constitution, or just the way government operate when it comes to the opposition leader?
Yeah, I think that if there's a constitutional matter, and I have zero difficulty where there ought to be a panel of judges that determine whether, in fact, we've reached a threshold, so we're not being a nuisance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's on everything and anything that we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for instance, when I was defending myself in Parliament, when it was being attempted to suspend me from Parliament indefinitely.
How was that?
or kicking me out of Parliament. I think those are within my right, and I think the state should have paid my legal fees.
Yeah.
I can say to you that when I won the first round of that case, and I was awarded 70.
Okay, sorry about that. We're back. Mm-hmm.
That did not come close to covering. That did not come close to covering my cost.
But you did recover the monies.
I got 75,000 EC, and what has happened since then, if you remember, those cases were continued because there were aspects of those cases in which my constitutional rights were breached. So I'll give you an example of one of them. Is when I attempted to leave the House, the Speaker of the House had the Sergeant of Arms arrest me and forced me to stay in the House. I mean, I jokingly said I was under house arrest.
Under house arrest, yes. Yes.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
That is history, though.
It's my constitutional right to leave whenever I want to be able to leave. You can't prevent me. You can kick me out of your house.
Yeah.
You can't cause me to have to stay in the house. When that case was continuing, the judge came out and complained that he was under political interference.
Okay.
And he recused himself from those cases. That is over a year and a half ago, and here it is today that no new judges have been assigned to my case. And the judge that recused himself was reassigned to a different territory.
That is Grenada.
To Grenada. Now, this is probably one of the greatest breaches in our democracy. And, today it was me. And if we allow a government to get away with it, tomorrow it's you or it's another entity. Very few people, if any persons, have stood up to say to this government that this is wrong, right? Forget about whatever personal differences you have with the leader of the opposition. Okay, visually having a judge recuse himself, it's not me who said it. The judge said it,
yeah.
And then for the judge to be transferred. I mean, and here today, again, I don't mean any personal offense to the gentleman. I like the man, Mario Michel, but now he is the acting Chief Justice.
Mm.
So how can you have, again, it's what it looks like. And I want persons to just take it from the opposition's perspective for a moment. Here it is that the Chief Justice, who is the ultimate decider, is a person who was previously the
Okay, folks, we just had a technical glitch there, and just bear with us. Honorable Allen Chastanet will reconnect with us shortly. All right, just bear with us, folks. At this time, we will take a commercial break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
At Palette Pleasure, located Ogier Vieux Fort, we take pride in our ability to cater to a wide range of events and occasions, whether it's a joyous celebration like a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or graduation, or a more somber gathering such as a funeral or first communion. We are dedicated to providing exquisite culinary offerings to suit each unique event. Our diverse menu includes offerings such as funeral treat boxes and treat boxes for all other occasions, ensuring that we can provide comfort and support during difficult times, as well as enhance the festivities during happier moments. In addition, we offer prepackaged meals designed for all occasions, ensuring that the food at your event is not only delicious but also convenient. Call us today at 758733335 for your finger-licking and palatable foods. At Palette Pleasure, located Ogier Vieux Fort, we take pride in our ability to cater to a wide range of events and occasions, whether it's a joyous celebration like a birthday.
All right, we are back, folks. We do apologize for the transmission break. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chastanet, are you there? Yes, we just had a glitch there. Let me try to reconnect on the main board. Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? Also, let me just leave and reconnect. All right, so I think we are on.
We're back on.
Yes. So we're good. Let me try to fix it up because I know that you're very busy, so we're not going to keep you any longer. Yes, you were saying.
So look, Mayor Michel used to be the former deputy political leader of the Labour Party, and today he's the Chief Justice. You know, we're waiting for the official announcement that Damien Greaves, who was a former minister of government under the Labour Party, with no experience in managing a hospital, is now going to be made a CEO of that hospital. And so we're seeing the politicization of all of these major institutions. And, you know, I don't want to question the integrity of Mayor Michel, but certainly any decision that he makes is going to be under a greater level of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And any decision that the regional courts are going to make, because one's going to question what influence that he had over those things. Let me give you an example, Pastor Garfield, of what just happened. A very important case where we applied for a judicial review on the decision by the Controller of Customs to drop the case against Ernest Hilaire.
So that case is still on?
Yeah, it's still on.
Ooh.
So remember, Ernest Hilaire was subpoenaed by the customs under the direction of the DPP. And the subpoena simply was asking him to provide the documentation to show that he owned the car. That's all. Not overly complicated.
Just show the document.
Just show the document. Now, that was going to be difficult for him because if you remember, the car was registered in the name of the High Commission and the invoice was in the name of the High Commission. So it means that he would have had to provide documentation to the court to show who gave him permission to put the car in the name of the High Commission in the first place, and how did the title of the vehicle come under him, and who gave him permission to do that. Okay? the elections came, the new government brought in a new controller of customs. And you remember now the Attorney General was the lawyer for Ernest Hilaire in the same case, his personal lawyer, who's now the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yes. And 2 months after the election, 2 months, the controller of customs dropped the case.
This whole government is a conflict of interest, Mr. Chastanet.
Okay. So now, we went to court, and we have to seek the permission of the court. We have to seek the leave of the court to have a judicial review. And what we call the bar, the standard that we have to prove is very, very low. The same judge that recused himself from my cases denied the application. So was he put on any political pressure? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. It went to appeal, and the appeals court denied our request. So now we have sought leave from the appeals court to go to the CCJ. We show up at the appeals court, 3 judges. 2 of the judges were the same judges that were on the case that denied us in the first place. So it means that my lawyer has to basically look those judges in the eye and say to them, I don't think you did a very good job. And he has to do it in a diplomatic fashion where he might be able to get some level of consent by them for us to proceed. So this is the absurdity of what's taken place. And these are questionable things that ask the question, do we really have a democracy?
Yeah.
Do we all understand what a democracy is? And not to over politicize everything, because as I said to you, if they can afford to do this to the leader of the opposition, imagine somebody else. And how do we succeed if we can't be more transparent and have more accountability on some of these issues? So the CIP unit, I know that there are persons I speak to that are so frustrated because they're saying it cannot be and should not be this difficult to force the government to answer some basic questions. And so I think that today, persons who chose to come out by themselves, individuals, we've taken the first step.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that next time we have Parliament, more St. Lucians develop the courage to come out and lend their voice. We want the answers.
Yeah,
and to let this government know that they're answerable ultimately to the people of this country.
And that's the democracy of the nation. When and sadly, when the people go quiet and they're not speaking up, then the government continues on that path, and we see the no answers and the just blatant disrespect to the citizens of the country. They're called zealot. I heard the Minister of Mr. Frederick, I called him Buddy. I heard him confirming that he was actually speaking about Dr. Mull Clark. He said it today that she is a professional, basically, flower.
And he did it in front of the Prime Minister, who last time when he did it in front of the Prime Minister denied it. And I'm going to tell you what the Prime Minister said.
Mm-hmm.
He said, continue.
He did?
Correct.
That can't be, sir.
I'm telling you.
So we cannot take the Prime Minister at his word, because he's saying to us, well, if the minister said that, that's wrong, and I will ask the minister, and that seems to be from the playbook. I will ask the minister, and once the minister said no, well, it's no.
But these are people who don't care and they just say anything. And I think that hopefully persons who listened to the presentation would have appreciated the point I was making. I think the number one issue affecting all solutions right now, you'd have thought it was security, you would have thought it's the cost of living, but I think it really is the state of healthcare in this country. Because anyone who finds themselves in the desperate need, and when there's something wrong, you're desperate, of proper health care, there is none. Now, the representative for Castries East is the Prime Minister. The representative for Castries South is the Deputy Prime Minister. The representative for Castries North is the Senior Minister. And the representative for Castries Central is the want-to-be Prime Minister.
Who do you call a want-to-be Prime Minister?
Your buddy.
Thank you.
Okay?
I like that.
So you have four very, very senior people. The Marcia Healthcare Center has been closed.
They said no, it's open.
No, Marcia is closed. The Castries Healthcare Center is closed. Entrepot is open on a part-time basis. And the Leclerc Healthcare Center is in deplorable condition.
But Buddy said that they're open.
Well, open and functional are two very different things.
That's right.
Okay? But you're talking about a massive population. I mean, I think that if you take into consideration close to 60,000 people come from, am I right? Yeah, 15. Yeah, about 60,000 people come from those four constituencies.
Whoa.
Okay? And all of them now are dependent on the OKEU hospital to be their healthcare center. So a basic thing goes wrong with you. Instead of going to the healthcare center, you're going to have to go to OKU. And by the way, OKU is dealing with all the national issues. And you have now, that we know of, over 10 doctors that have left, nurses that have left, senior administrators who have left, and how functional OKEU is very questionable.
Wow. Prime Minister said that they're looking for greener pasture. Nothing is wrong there.
Yeah, they're coming up to see you in New York.
That's right. They're welcome.
So I said to them that before I had left government, because of climate change, one of the things I was able to do was to ask the U.S. government to give us one of these mobile hospitals.
Oh.
The big tents that come up.
Was that those field hospital type thing?
A field hospital. There we go. Exactly. Right? Yeah. And right after the elections, maybe 2 or 3 months after the elections, the U.S. government made good on it and delivered the field hospital here in St. Lucia.
So you have a field hospital there in the country?
We do. And it's currently in storage. I believe that these people forgot they even had it. So I said, if it was my government, first of all, my government would not have found itself in the situation that OKU has found itself in, because the healthcare insurance program would have provided additional resources to make sure that healthcare was being properly serviced. Okay? But if we did find ourselves in this, and if you truly empathized with what people are going through and the fear of not knowing where you're going to go when you need healthcare attention, I would have put the field hospital in VG.
Yeah.
I would have put it near the port. I would have put it somewhere in Castries.
That's a vision.
Put it up, and use that as a temporary healthcare center for the Castries Basin, and to do two things: to provide with people with immediate access to healthcare, and also to take pressure off of OKEU.
Yeah.
Now, when the minister comes on TV tonight and says that the solution that he has is to bring more Cuban doctors and nurses in, and we reread the stories as to what's taking place in Cuba right now, which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Right? What's happening? I mean, and that's why I said to you, we have so many Cuban doctors and nurses there already. A lady said to me, you know, Prime Minister, people make a joke that you can't speak Creole, but if you go to OKEU, you have to speak Spanish.
You have a problem. Well, so
Right?
you have the...
So I mean, you and I are laughing, but it really is not a laughable matter. This is really the current state of affairs, and that's why I'm saying to you that we have a government that is absolutely clueless, have no vision, don't care about the people, and all they care is about themselves, just themselves.
Now, before you go, I know you're busy. One thing I want to ask you, the OKEU hospital, you had a very bold plan, and that's why I was all excited about you winning the last elections on this whole healthcare situation. Your plan was to provide the insurance, the health insurance. Those of us who are in the diaspora, we understand what good health insurance is. Having access, you know, you need a procedure, you can just go swipe your card or show your card and you're in, you know. You had that bold approach where I think $70,000 worth of insurance would have been provided to every citizen of the country. That would have helped a great deal. At this point, we have people raising funds for life-saving medical intervention. Many of them die because they just can't have access to it. What was your plan there?
The insurance premium was going to be about $1,000 a year. Okay, and that premium would have been paid by persons who had jobs earning above a certain salary. So if, for instance, you worked in a job and you made less than $2,000 or $2,500 a month, your business would have been obligated to pay the entire $1,000. You would not be expected to take that money from the money that you're making.
Right.
And the same thing for the civil service. If you're below a certain grade, the government would have paid the entire amount for you. The government would have paid all the elderly people because you're on pension.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get the extra money? I mean, the pension is already so low. So government would have paid it. If you were unemployed, that while you were looking for a job, government would pay your insurance for you. And if you were a single mother without a job, no education, the government would have paid it for you and for your family.
Wow.
Okay? Now, that money does not go into the consolidated account. That money would be collected by the insurance provider and be used exclusively for the operations at the hospital. So the reason why you want an insurance structure is that when you go to the hospital and you get services provided, then it has to be reported back to the insurance. So there's a check and balance.
Yeah.
So you can't abuse the system. Also, it would include an annual checkup. So everybody would have to get an annual checkup.
Yep.
And it means that for the first time, the government would know the health of their country.
That's right.
I wouldn't know Pastor Garfield, but I would know a male that's 21 years old, right? Is that what your age is?
21 is good. I love it.
And so we would know, the male, females, different age groups, what the health is. But also non-communicable diseases, the primary being one, diabetes. We would know if government's policies are working because we'd show the improvement or not. And sadly, high blood pressure and diabetes are what we call lifestyle diseases.
Yeah.
And not everybody has the discipline to go and eat right and exercise because that's really what it is. So putting people on high blood pressure pills
and medication to deal with diabetes prevents it from getting worse.
Yeah.
And improves the quality of your life. But there are too many people currently who cannot even afford to buy blood pressure pills.
That's true. But you mentioned the senior citizens. You would have paid all the medicals to them. The Prime Minister said this government is saying that they have paid or they are paying medical services for seniors, folks about 80. But we are getting I get calls from seniors who are saying, I have to pay, I still got to pay. What is going on?
Because there is no extra money. So when the government, wants to say to you, we took $10 million from CIP to pay the bills. The debt at OKU right now is in excess of $75 million.
75.
So the $15 million they put in, before it even touched the bank accounts, the money was gone. The only amount of money that the government has allocated to the Millennium Heights is the cost of salaries and utilities. But the operating costs, and that's the problem. And so the money for the operating costs, in our mind, is best come from this insurance scheme. Now, this insurance scheme was also part of a larger social program, right? We have to say that there must be a minimum standard of living in St. Lucia. And therefore, those persons who are below that minimum, government has to help out.
Yeah.
Now, if you now start making the right decisions on growing your economy, creating job opportunities, strengthening your education system so people are better prepared for the job market, educating people on what it is to be able to own a home, how much money you have to save, and all of those things, then you reduce the number of people that need social assistance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, we cannot continue to allow people to suffer to the extent that they are now. But this government is not interested in that. This government wants you to call them, wants you to be dependent upon them.
And they're saying to the people they're not suffering. Everything is good.
And that's the difference between a progressive government, one that believes in growing the economy, and that's how you reduce taxes.
Yeah.
If you don't grow the economy, then you have to increase the taxes. And we see the suffering that people are going through on increased taxation. When you put in taxes like the levy, they are disproportionately inequitable to poorer people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow me?
I'm following, yes.
Because if you're paying 2.5% tax on what you're consuming, proportionately, right, for poorer people, it's going to be a bigger part of their salary.
That's right. That's right. I saw Mr. Chastanet, I saw our chairman of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Prudent, and he's saying universal healthcare in St. Lucia under the SLP is a joke, but is there really universal healthcare in St. Lucia for pregnant women and seniors? Is that universal healthcare?
And look, I said it when I was in opposition in 2013, 14, and 15. We were well on the way to establishing our healthcare insurance program, as we promised, affordable healthcare, quality healthcare. This government has regressed the situation. And again, if for those persons that were not convinced the first time that universal healthcare is a panacea, it's a false panacea. It cannot happen.
Yeah.
Because the government is running in the deficit. And so you're now asking them to spend more money. So it can't, even with 80-year-olds, it can't happen. I mean, Guy Joseph was giving an example of a lady who was 88 who died, right? And the Ministry of Health will not release her body until the family pays $4,500 of medical bills for her.
Wow,
well,
that's
88.
In St. Lucia you're talking about?
In St. Lucia.
Oh, no. No.
So, I mean, I want to thank you for the opportunity to hopefully provide any clarity on today's meeting.
Yeah.
I'm glad for the expanded conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to ask me about what happened in the House today, or and if you need any further clarification on any information that came up that you're concerned about, or your viewers were concerned about, I'm happy to answer.
Right. Basically, I think we have discussed, and I'm expecting you, of course, in the days to come, to go around speaking to the citizens of the country, because
I'm going to be on Newsmaker with Timothy pulling out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so we will push that also. So we encourage our viewers to let's log in tomorrow. We get more information there. I'm not 100%. I have not covered a lot of the questions. If you see, I have a whole set of papers here, and we have not touched anything on it. I know the Bmax situation. Hilaire said that the owner of Bmax gave up his share after he got arrested, and we found out.
No, he didn't say that. He said that he was not arrested, but he was on bail.
How did that happen?
Exactly.
Well, you know what? So he was not arrested. He's on bail for what?
There we go. And then, they continue to think that they're fooling people, saying, oh, he was arrested for smuggling cigarettes.
Cigarette, huh? I think that's their talking point, cigarette.
They were arrested for manufacturing counterfeit cigarettes to the tune of billions of dollars.
Yep.
So much so, not only was he arrested, the company Bmax was described as being a criminal organization.
But Hilaire said it's political because of politics that the guy was targeted, and it's just cigarettes, nothing to see here.
So when they were targeting Guy Joseph and making all kinds of allegations about Guy Joseph, that wasn't the same thing. I mean, when they went and made all kinds of allegations. About Richard Frederick, against Richard Frederick, remember?
Poor guy,
yes. The most dangerous person in politics. They made all kinds of stuff about him and this and that. And then today they have him in their party. Well, they don't really have him in the party. And I kept on asking, your buddy, I said, Minister, when is it exactly you're getting this approval to become a member of the Labour Party? And he said, that's none of your business. I said, I was just curious. I said, because you've got a show called Can I Help You? And maybe you need to help yourself. Right? I said, man, I'm getting the impression that the Labour Party doesn't want you.
You got to put in a word for him. That's your buddy.
I said, I'm happy to give him a letter of endorsement.
Yeah, give him a letter at least, help the man out, because he's struggling. I saw him today losing his breath.
Oh my! I mean, it's so sad. it's so sad to watch this man go on and continue to repeat the same lies, the same nonsense about dye-hair mall. I mean, you know what's so sad about the dye-hair mall, Pastor Garfield?
Yes, sir.
Here it is that there is 77,000 square feet of space that's available to the government. That is costing the government of St. Lucia $4 a square foot.
Mm-hmm. Which is cheap.
Right. Because what happened is the building was owned by the state, was bought by Kenny Anthony for $30 million.
Yeah.
EC. Okay? We ended up selling the ground floor for $5 million US.
But he said no.
I'm telling you. It's in the agreement. The ground floor was sold for $5 million US. Okay? So that's half the amount. Right? Just under $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
We then entered into a bolt arrangement with the developer that we allowed him to go ahead and fix the entire building.
Mm.
We made a contribution towards the public space, and so did he. And all the space that he fixed up for us, right? He financed it. And the bolt agreement is that we pay him back $4 a square foot for 12 years. Mm. And at the end of the 12 years, all of the space is ours.
Mm.
Okay? So it means the government of St. Lucia could be transferring offices there and reduce on their rent. The space has been completed for 2 years. People have been operational downstairs. But meanwhile, government is renting new space all around the island. CIP moved, the public health, Ministry of Public Services just moved. None of them moved into the Dyer Mall.
Wow, so they're not using the space.
No. So they're paying the rent.
But not
and not use 77,000 square feet. Now, you heard him where he almost got a heart attack today.
Yeah, oh boy, I was sorry for him there.
Trying to explain how egregious this deal was.
Yeah, it was worse.
Right? But meanwhile, we were in Parliament next to where the halls of justice is supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
The halls of justice is 120,000 square feet. So that's as big as the new St. Jude's building.
Yep.
And that is 20% bigger than the Dyer Mall.
Ooh.
Than the
halls of justice.
Halls of justice. Okay? And the rent that the halls of justice is going to have to pay is $16 a square foot.
And Buddy is talking about $4 and some cents.
And he's having a heart attack. But meanwhile, this is taking place right before us. And what's even more concerning is you're going to take a building, so you take the Dyer Mall, put it in Constitution Park, and add 2 more floors. That's the size of the building they're going to put there. Massive structure. So it means it's going to dwarf the cathedral.
Yep.
But more importantly, the piling and the reverberations and the impact of the piling, we think, is going to have significant impact on the structural integrity of a lot of the buildings. And that's why we said,
especially the cathedral.
If the church is not prepared to speak for itself, we're prepared to speak for itself. Now, I've noticed over the last couple of days, prayer warriors have started going every morning between 7 and 7:30 or 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning.
That's good.
And are starting to pray. I saw a video of some of them actually walking around where the halls of justice were going to be. I think sprinkling holy water and maybe even some salt to pray for intervention.
Yep.
And I think also pray for wisdom.
Yep.
Because this government seems to be lacking a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, they're lacking.
Why are they, when they sit here and they talk about the National Trust and historical buildings, what is more historical value? What's more spiritual value, of greater value than the cathedral? And if anything happens to the cathedral, how do you replace it? So when you're telling me that you had an old prison that has the worst memories and the worst example of human rights, and that you were so concerned about the demolition of a building, I think that Kenny Anthony himself said that should have been burnt, right? Wow. Many years ago. And yet you don't seem to be expressing the same concern for the cathedral.
But your plan. But I prefer your plan, Mr. Chastanet. Your plan for Castries, that area, the green space. I think it would have been an excellent. Castries would have been a beautiful place.
That was Sir John's plan, and we adopted it.
It was his.
Break down the Princery, break down the Parliament. Now that the courthouse is gone, and allow that to remain as an open space and as a park. So that means when you're coming into town, the first building you would have seen is the cathedral.
Yeah.
And part of that is to take the container port in the old Prince Alfred Basin. Not many people remember that was the Prince Alfred Basin.
Oh, that's Bonanza area there.
Correct. Well, even before the Bonanza. Right in front of where the SLASPA office is.
Yep.
And all the containers are.
Yep.
That's all reclaimed land, right? That used to be the Prince Alfred Basin. And to move the container port to cul-de-sac and now rebuild that area, right? To put more office buildings, we wanted to put a cultural center, a convention facility, another hotel to bring energy back to town. I mean, town is dead at 4:30.
It's dead, yeah. Yeah, I was there and I was ashamed at some point. You know, it's run down. It's, you know.
Yeah. So look, the new Marriott Courtyard that's going to be opening up hopefully soon enough. The vision behind that was us, the redevelopment of Point Seraphim.
Yeah.
Right. And what we were going to do to revitalize Castries and create breathing space for Castries.
Yeah,
so
it's needed.
As a life after dark.
Yeah.
Right. But this government has lost that. They're making it into a ghetto. You have a tea boutique minister.
Yeah.
That everything that he does is just a little thing. And yeah, I mean, it's not even to his own standard.
No.
But remember, he did the same thing in Denry with the houses for the poor.
Oh yeah, I went into those. I went into all three of them, and the poor guy had a bed that was built with plywood in the sky. I was afraid for him. It's just ridiculous.
It's really shame. And look, you asked an important question earlier in the night. I just want to end on that note.
Yeah.
That this government's gotten to the point that I don't think that we can allow or should allow them to remain in office for the 5 years. I think that this is a government that is drunk on their own self-importance and arrogance.
Yeah.
I think this is a government that continues to believe they're not accountable to anyone. And the prime minister himself believes that constitutionally, which he's right to some extent, that he gets to call the date of the election.
Yeah.
But there's a higher authority. I mean, there is always the Lord.
Yeah.
But there's a higher authority before the Lord, and that's the people.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the people of St. Lucia are going to rise to the point where they recognize that our democracy is in jeopardy.
Man.
They're being taken for granted, and that this government is destroying our country, and it's getting to the point that it's going to be very difficult to recover. Yeah. And the pain that all of us are going to have to go through, and the sacrifices that we're all going to have to make for a full recovery of this country, may be a lot for us to ask. But I think today we saw some people show up on their own accord.
Yeah.
I want to thank them for the support that they showed today and the courage that they showed.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that as people choose to come out and to voice their objections to what's taking place, that more and more people are going to come out and continue to show this government that they're heading in the wrong direction, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Yep. And thank you so much, Mr. Chastanet, for being here with us, and thank you for your stick-to-itiveness, in this, because if I was in your shoe, I would have given up a long time with all that you have gone through. It shows that you have the interests of the citizens at heart, and you love your country, and Caribbean American News will continue to stand with you to ensure that, we get you back at the helm of government to help to dig deeper foundations that will last throughout a generation. We owe it to the generation to come that we build bigger, better, stronger, that we go brave and go, it's not a risk we're taking. The generation to come will look back and they will see a man of vision, and thank God that you are documenting your plans by speaking to people like us and to the different media platforms and speaking to the St. Lucian people, sharing your vision with them. So I look forward to, retiring in St. Lucia on the, your administration with good health care, proper security in the nation, good infrastructure. I look forward to coming back to a country that all of us can be proud of. But until then, we got to remove this inept, self-centered, gangster type government off of the backs of the people. So thank you so much, Mr. Chastanet, for all that you do.
Well, you're being very kind, and I want to thank you for your perseverance and your consistency. And I also want to know that I know off air you and I have had conversations.
Yep.
And that you intend to hold me accountable as well.
Yes.
When I'm in government, and I welcome that.
Yes,
right?
the platform
So
will
I
be
think
there.
I think in democracy that everybody is allowed to question and to challenge the government, and it's the obligation of the government to provide those answers. So
That's
thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chastanet. So, folks, there you have it. That was the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Allen Chastanet. And I know, folks, it's been a long night. You know, and the truth is, I have had discussions with Mr. Chastanet one-on-one personally, and you know, he loves his country. That's what I would say, and I believe he is a very respectable leader. You can see the difference. You know, I'm not saying that he's a perfect leader, but I'm saying he's a man with a vision, the man who, you know, when you talk about health care and universal care, you talk about, you know, state-of-the-art hospital and infrastructure in Vieux Fort. Vieux Fort, as far as I'm concerned, is the most underdeveloped part of the country. His plans were a bigger airport, a bigger hospital, safer space in the community, the home porting in Vieux Fort, and you would have seen a transformation in Vieux Fort by now, folks. You would have seen the transformation in that community. The call centers that were bringing jobs to the people. This government oppose it, condemn the idea of these call centers. A matter of fact, they call the United Workers' Party corrupt. And so Vieux Fort is just where it is. Vieux Fort has the space. They have the landscape, man. The layout of the land is a beautiful place for development. So I'm saying, friends, I'm not going to be sitting here and say to you that Mr. Chastanet is a perfect guy and he do not make mistakes. But I'll tell you, just Philip Chappelle isn't perfect too. But if you would ask me to choose between two leaders, my choice would have been the Honorable Allen Chastanet. He's not a god to me, friends. But I have seen the man. I've listened to him both off the air in private. I've listened to him, and he listens. And so I will encourage you, the supporters of the United Workers' Party. Let us lift the standard. Let us lift the reasoning. Let us use that brain that God has given to us. Stop voting against your own interests. Stop voting for $5 and $2 and $500 on a little contract. You are worth more than a contract. You are worth more than chicken and rum and a smile and a ride. You're worth more than that. You are not only holding back the country, yes, by your little short-term gains. A matter of fact, you're holding back the entire country, the development of the country. Because these fellas know that they can henpeck you, bamboozle you. They can just, closer to the election, they can just play with you. A little contract here, a little smile, a little t-shirt, and everything is fine. But you are holding back an entire nation, the progress of a nation. Look at our healthcare system, broken. They said to us, it's good. They said to us today that there's no issue in CIP. CIP is perfect. As a matter of fact, it is better than it has ever been. They told us that with our roads. And while they are claiming to have had some success, rightfully so, with unemployment, there are a whole lot of St. Lucians who are unemployed still. As a matter of fact, there are a whole lot of St. Lucians who are being underpaid still. There are a whole set of St. Lucians who can't afford basic food, who can't afford to send their kids to school. There are a whole lot of these people out there, friends. Don't be fooled. And maybe the country, the economy is working out for a few, but I can tell you that there's a whole set of fews that are not experiencing the rising tide. Rising tide supposed to lift every boat. But the SLP tide, right now it's lifting some boats. Unless we can help our people out of poverty, unless we can move more people out of poorer class into middle class, we would not have done anything. Unless we can move people out from little plywood homes with no bathrooms, no space for children to walk around and to have their privacy, unless we can move more families out of these conditions, then we are not doing anything for the nation. If we are only moving the rich and the haves, then we are not doing anything. We are doing something when we can move more people into the middle class, when more families can own their own homes. They can have sustainable jobs. When the families are happy, the nation is happy. Not some families, all families. So I would ask you, St. Lucians, to stop voting with your finger and vote with your brain. That's the problem. You vote with your finger, not with your brain. Reason, think. Am I better off today than yesterday? Am I eating much better than I used to eat yesterday? Am I getting better health care than I used to get before? So therefore, when you are voting as a nation, you are asking yourself some what we call kitchen table discussions. How are we doing as a family? And don't be selfish. Ask yourself too, how are my neighbors doing? How is my community doing? How are our nurses doing? Our doctors, our policemen? Folks, it is time for us to cut the greed, the selfishness, and the nastiness, and let us start moving people from the poorer class into the middle class. I don't want to hear anyone on News Make Alive or on the next news broadcast say that I am poor. How can we have families out there that are so poor, friends, yet we are boasting how good the country is, how much hotels we are building, how much CIP monies we are receiving, when we have our government ministers building extra pools and buying extra vehicles and buying extra homes, but yet we still have a poor class that are not moving. There is no shift. As a matter of fact, the possibility is there that we are moving individuals from the middle class down to the poorer class. If that's what is happening, then we are doomed. But I want the government of St. Lucia to stop telling the citizens that they are doing fine when they are not. Stop telling them that nothing is wrong with healthcare. Things will always be wrong with healthcare. Healthcare is something you got to keep at it at all times, because the technology, the methodology, the approach to healthcare, everything changes so quickly in the world today. They're breaking edge technology every moment, which means that a government must constantly be going at the healthcare system. You must constantly be upgrading, be targeting areas. We have major issues with cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. We must constantly attack. We must constantly be on the attack. We must constantly be at war with our healthcare system. We must, friends. We should never wait or neglect our healthcare system, because it gets worse quickly. It can get bad quickly. It can get deadly quickly for many families. It can mean the life of an individual, by the way, which can be at any time your family. But folks, thank you so much for being here with us. I just wanted to rant for a minute with you, and I hope, friends, that you have a beautiful, and thank you so much for being here with us, my people. Thank you so much. We had about 600-700 people tonight on our platforms, and so Thank you, GVD TV. Again, condolences to you and the family, the Celestine, the Paul family. Condolences to you. May God continue to comfort you, friends, as you mourn the loss of a good soldier. Not a perfect soldier, but a good soldier who loves the Lord and loves his country. And to those of you who are bereaved, I may not know you, but may God's comfort be upon you. For those of you who, you just feel fed up and you want to take your life, don't do that. Don't take your life. Things will get better, friends. There is a silver lining. Please, just hang in there. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And remember this, just over the mountain is a promised land. Just over the mountain, friends. Just keep your head above water. You will get there by the grace of God. And remember this, you are special. You are perfect in the sight of God. You are unique. Yes, when you look in the mirror, I want you to see God's handiwork. Yes, you were created in his image. Like I was saying to my church on Sabbath, don't call people ugly. No, when you look at them, you see the image of God. Yes, my friends, we're created in his image. So I want you to go and be a blessing to others. Remember, if any little word of mine can make a sad heart brighter, Lord, help me speak the helping word and season it with singing, and drop it in some lonely vale to set the echoes ringing. God bless you, my friends, and have a beautiful rest of your night. Until we meet again, may God bless you.